Hi, everyone, and welcome to our virtual senior family night. Thanks for tuning in. The counseling department is excited to host everyone tonight and give you some information about senior college application process and just some other things that are going on in the high school. As some of you may know, Mrs. Schmitz, our high school principal, she is out on medical leave right now. She, of course, wishes you well, wishes that she could be here with you guys and see you when you're in the building. But for right now, I'm going to introduce our interim high school principal, Mr. Bryan Wood, and he's just going to give some remarks about some things to come for the school year.
Hello, everyone. Well, let me begin by saying I'm extremely excited to have the opportunity this year to work with the students and the families of Voorheesville. This is an important year, and I do have some important bits of information for you as you start your school year. First of all, attendance, perhaps one of the most important topics I could talk to you about. It's extremely important that you remember to follow the 3-day rotation. And make sure that even when you're home virtually, that you sign in, you follow your schedule, you sign in at the promptly when your class begins into your Google Meets. Also, parking this year. The good news is that it's free. So the forms are located on the district website, and if you want a parking to drive to school and park, please see Mrs. Smith in guidance. And she'll follow up with you, give you a sticker, and give you an assigned parking spot. In terms of early leave and late arrival, if you have a study hall at the beginning or at the end of the day, it's perfectly fine for you to leave school. But first, we need you to have your parents send an email to your guidance counselors to let them know that they indeed have permission for you to leave early or are to come in late. Lastly, for varsity athletes, currently sports are scheduled to begin on September 21st. That could change. It's really a day-to-day basis right now. We ask that you, if you are a student athlete, that you log into your first PE class on Thursday and Friday, and hopefully we'll have more information for you. If you have any questions, make sure you see Mr. Sapienza. Again, I'm excited to be here, and I look forward to an exciting year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wood. So now I'm just going to introduce our high school counseling staff. We've been working together over the past almost 4 years now, so hopefully you know us. But myself, I'm Chris and Heidi. I have students that have last names A through K. Here's my contact information listed on the slide for you, my phone number with my direct extension, in addition to my email address. Of course, we have Mr. Tim Kelly. He has the other half of the alphabet, so last names that start with letters L through Z, and of course, his direct extension and email address as well. I know we said this at junior night, and we'll kind of keep saying this to you guys. This can be a stressful process for many families, whether it's your first kid, your third kid, and we are here to help you. So if you have any questions, if you have any concerns, if you need any help, please feel free to reach out to us. We never know if you guys need anything unless you tell us. So feel free to do so. So I'm just going to go over a couple reminders and then just the outline for our presentation. We are going to have open house this year. It is going to be virtual. It's still going to be on September 17th with a start time of 6:30. The plan is that teachers will send out links for their Google Meets, and parents will be invited to join their classroom that way this year. The counseling department will host a financial aid night this year, likely in October, but that's going to be determined at a later time, but we will absolutely push out that information once we have financial aid night decided. So we're just going to go over some testing requirements, college athletics, and of course the college application process and procedures in our presentation. First, I'm just going to highlight some virtual college fairs that are happening. So CASDA, which stands for the Capital Area School Development Association, they host a college fair at Hudson Valley every year. This year, they are going to hold a virtual fair, and they're going to use the Zoom platform to do so. They're doing them in the evenings, and they have them in a wide range of dates. So they're going to start on September 15th and go all the way through November 20th. You can use this link right here to go ahead and register for those individual college fairs and see which colleges are participating in those college fairs. So NACAC, which stands for the National Association for College Admissions Counseling, they're also having some virtual fairs for students. You can use that link listed there, and that will bring you to their website, and it will list for you the different colleges and the different virtual fairs that you can sign up for. We are going to still have college representatives like visit the high school this year. They are going to be virtual. The colleges will sign up for an appointment time, and they will push out it's going to be likely on the Zoom platform. They will send out an invitation for students to come join their virtual information session. So, if Mr. Kelly or myself know that, you're interested in a particular school, we'll definitely make sure that you have the link and the information to join that virtual visit. We're working on that right now. So eventually we will have a list compiled of all of the different dates and times that schools are visiting. So students, if you know you want to visit with SUNY Binghamton and you see that they're having a virtual visit on a certain day, you can absolutely reach out to one of us and we'll make sure that we get you the proper information for you to join that virtual information session. So I'm going to move on to our instant admit days. So for our local schools, our community colleges, they have a instant admit day every year. And the great thing about it is there's no application fee associated with it. It's instant, so there's no wait. They, in the past, have come here on campus. The way that we're going to do it this year is it's going to be virtually. So students will have the opportunity to participate in those instant admit days for both Hudson Valley and Schenectady, but of course virtually this year. So if you're interested in either one of our local community colleges, Hudson Valley is having their instant admit day on October 29th, and then Schenectady is going to have it on November 5th. College of St. Rose, they've done one for the past few years. We're hoping that they'll still host one again this year. We don't have a date solidified for them, but as soon as we do, again, we'll get that information out to families. So next, I want to talk a little bit about our AP classes and our college in the high school classes. So if you are enrolled in an AP course, you must take the AP exam. You must also pay for the AP exam. This year, each test is $95. The preferred method, if you could, is to use that My School Bucks account. This will let you pay for it virtually. If that's not an option for families, you can still send in cash or a check made out to Voorheesville Central School District. And we ask that this payment be submitted by October 1st. Our college and the high school classes, those are our college credit or our dual enrollment classes through Schenectady County Community College. This year, Schenectady is charging $64 per credit. So if you're enrolled in a 3-credit class, the total payment will be $192. And if you're enrolled in a 4-credit class, it'll be $256. In order for students to get credit for these classes, they must do 2 things. They must fill out their online registration form, and they also must have their certificate of residency completed. As far as registration goes, it's going to open up on September 14th. It's then going to close on October 9th. And in the newsletter that the counseling department sent out a few weeks ago, within that newsletter, there is a lot of information about our CHS classes. And in there is a fall registration packet. And that will give you registration instructions, a list of important dates to remember. There's also a tuition assistance application and a scholarship application as well in that packet. Within the newsletter is also an application for the certificate of residency that is required. In years past, we've been able to host the town of New Scotland on campus to give those certificates of residencies for kids. Due to COVID this year, students will have to go on their own to get a certificate of residency filled out. So in order to do so, just make sure you take that application that I have listed on our newsletter. You bring it with proof of residency. And then what they'll do is they'll hand you a piece of paper. It's going to have a raised seal on it. That is your actual certificate of residency. You will then need to bring that to me, and then I will submit it to Schenectady on your behalf. Now it sounds complicated, so if you have any questions, let me know. So I'll talk a little bit about community service. So at this point in time, we can't give a hard, definite answer about the requirement for a graduation. At this point in time, we will still have that requirement stand, the 15 hours to graduate, in addition to the 20 hours for National Honor Society. Things could change. If we hear differently, we'll absolutely let you guys know. So as far as those standardized testing, that SATs and the ACTs, a lot of colleges, I'm sure, everyone's kind of heard this, a lot of colleges have changed their application requirements for this application cycle. So if there's a school that you want to apply to, make sure you just look on their admissions website to see what their requirements are going to be for this fall. NACAC, the National Association of College Admissions Counselors, on their website, they have a list of schools that are all test optional for this fall. That link that NACAC has, I've also listed that in my newsletter too. So you can definitely, reference back to that, and you can check out what schools are waiving the testing requirements for this year. If you did want to participate or take the SATs or ACTs, we have listed for you the test date and the registration deadline. Keep in mind, Voorheesville is not a test center, so we don't actually offer the test here. So you'd have to go to a different host school for the test. And I know Mr. Kelly will touch on this, but I'll say it here. Students must send their test scores directly to the college. So the high school does not send your test scores. If you're interested in any kind of prep class, we have listed here the different local options. We have phone numbers listed here, but feel free to get on their websites too. They have a lot of nice information listed on their individual websites too. So lastly, I'm going to talk about College Board score choice policy. And what this does is this allows the student or the test taker to decide which entire SAT score they would like to send to a particular school. So for example, if a student took the March SAT date and the June SAT date, but they only wanted to show the schools their June test date, score choice will allow students to just send an entire SAT test to a college. Even though College Board does have this score choice option, just note not all colleges participate in it. So some colleges may require that you send all SAT scores no matter how many times you took them. So, kind of like I mentioned before, just make sure that you have checked out what the admissions policies and procedures are for your particular school that you're applying to, just to make sure that you're following what they're requiring. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Kelly to talk about college athletics and the college application process.
Thanks, Ms. Heidi. Hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to get to the college application process in a bit. I just wanted to talk about playing sports in college. For those of you who are potentially Division I or Division II athletes, there is something called the NCAA Clearinghouse. You see the website here. Hopefully the coach or coaches that are recruiting you have already talked about this. It's a matter of registering. There is a fee involved, and they want to determine that you are a legitimate student. So for those of you in that situation, that's another step you have to do. Those of you who want to play Division III sports, you do not need to worry yourself with the NCAA Clearinghouse. For those that do, the D1 and D2 students, athletes, you don't have to submit SAT or ACT scores this year due to COVID. Okay, so your grades and your coursework are going to determine your eligibility. So the application process. This is going to be a continuation of conversations we had at junior night, conversations we had during your junior conference. And it's mainly for those of you who are applying to four-year colleges. Okay, so starting as soon as Monday, Miss Heidi and I are going to have individual conferences with each and every senior. You should have gotten an invitation to your conference already. We're also planning on going into the senior English classes to talk about the Common App, to talk about Naviance, to talk about the process so that you don't just have to remember everything we say tonight. Okay? So one of the first steps, one of the next steps would be to list your college possibilities on Naviance under colleges I'm applying to. We've talked again, about how do you put a college on your list? What makes a college worthy of being on your list? Well, does it have your major? Is it the right size? How far from home? Is it in a rural or an urban area? A lot of things like that go into whether or not you choose to apply to a college. We do want you to put all of these on Naviance, and the next slide shows just a quick page of Naviance. Next slide, please. And we want you to link your Naviance account to the Common App. So next slide is the Common App. Common App works with about 900 different colleges. So we want you to use Common App if you're applying to more than one school, unless they're all SUNY schools. Okay, if you're only applying to SUNY schools, the SUNY application is a little bit easier. If you're applying to 10 SUNY schools and one other school, we'd like you to use the Common App. Okay, it'll be easier for everybody. You link the Common App and Naviance by something called a FERPA waiver. You'll see it on Naviance. It's the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. It's asking that you waive your rights to privacy. Don't worry, your information is not going to go out into the world. It's just so that your teachers can write you letters of recommendation and have them be confidential. So you'll find the FERPA waiver on Naviance. Once you have a Common App account, you can link the two. Okay. Okay, on Naviance, we also want you to update your resume. All right. You may have your resume elsewhere. That's fine, but we would like a copy of your updated resume. You're going to be asking teachers for letters of recommendation. They would probably like a copy of your resume. Those of you who are going to be submitting SAT or ACT scores, if you need to retake the test, we've told you what the dates are. Like Ms. Heidi said, a lot of colleges are waiving that requirement this year, so you might not have to take those tests. And yes, another reminder, we do not send SAT scores, okay, or ACT or subject tests for that matter. And if that is still required by your college, you, the student, need to be the one to make sure those scores get sent to your college. Okay. Letters of recommendation. Who do you ask? How do you ask? When do you ask? I don't think you should necessarily ask the teacher today or tomorrow, but maybe later next week. That's the first full week of school. They might be ready to handle those. It's probably best if you can ask them in person, but if that's impossible this year, that's understandable. You can ask them through an email. You want to let the teacher know maybe where you're applying, maybe what you intend to major in. You definitely want to get one letter from an academic teacher that you've had in the past 2 years, one who you've done well for. A second application could come from another teacher, could come from a coach, an employer. You're also going to have a letter of recommendation from me or Miss Heidi, and that's kind of standard. Every college wants to see what your guidance counselor has to say about you. So if they say we want 2 letters of recommendation, they're not even counting ours. They just take ours for granted. Okay. Write your essay. Okay. I've sent you the essay prompts at the beginning of the summer, so you've known what the essay was about. If you haven't done it yet, that's fine. It's probably going to be one of your first assignments in English class this year. So write your essay, get a rough draft, let your English teachers help you with it. And, that'll be a big stressful thing that'll be done. Next slide, please. Early decision versus early action. Now, these are important terms to know the difference. Early decision is a binding agreement. If you apply early decision, you're telling a college, if you accept me, I'm going to go here. I'm going to withdraw my other applications. I know how much this is going to cost, or approximately, and I'm okay with that. You have to write your name saying, I agree to this. Your parents have to agree to it. Your guidance counselor has to agree to it. So it's kind of a big deal to the colleges if you're applying early decision. As such, we don't have a lot of students that do it. It probably does increase your chances of getting in. It could potentially impact your financial aid. Okay, so there's a lot to think about there. Early action, on the other hand, is not a binding agreement. You simply apply early, you get a decision early. Okay, now the college could say, congratulations, you're accepted. They could say, we're sorry. Or in a lot of cases, they say, well, we're not quite sure. We're going to put you into the regular pool of candidates anyway. So for those of you who have had very strong 9th, 10th, and 11th grade years, applying early action is probably not too risky. For those of you who need to kind of step your game up senior year, you might not want to apply until you have maybe a first or second report card to show improvement. There's also something a little bit more rare called restricted early action, and under restricted early action, it's still not a binding agreement, but the college asks that you don't apply to multiple schools under this policy. The FAFSA. The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. I'd encourage every student to apply for the FAFSA. You don't do it now. You can't do it until October 1st. But as soon as possible after October 1st, you can apply for federal grants, federal loans. You can't get a Stafford loan without first filling out the FAFSA. So I would encourage everyone to do that. Maybe you do this freshman year and you don't get much of a financial aid package and you don't do it for sophomore year. That's up to each family. But for now, if you haven't done this before, that's my advice. We get a lot of questions about the Excelsior Scholarship, so we want to touch on it now. Lot of budgets are kind of in flux. So is the Excelsior Scholarship going to happen the way it's happened the past few years? We're not sure. But if it does, and if your family incomes combined under $125,000, you could qualify for this, and it could cover the cost of attending a SUNY school. There are other stipulations, other requirements for those of you who want to apply for it. For those of you who do win it, there's obligations afterwards. We also want you to apply for scholarships, and I'm sure your parents want you to apply for scholarships as well. The scholarships we know about, we keep on Naviance under the scholarships tab. So look for those. There's national ones, there's state level ones, and there's a lot of local awards, many of which come out later in the school year, about springtime. We'll try to notify you, but we'd encourage you to check Naviance frequently for such things. Here are some of the websites for some of the things we've talked about tonight. You've got them handy now. You can refer back to the slideshow. Next slide. Not sure how big this is on your screen, but this is something that I found interesting. A recent study from Kaplan Test Prep of about 400 college admissions officers reported that 40% said they had visited applicants' social media pages. Be smart about what you post online. Okay, so that's enough said about that. If you're watching this on the night we're posting it, then your classes started today. We're hoping that you're off to a great start. We want you to work hard. We're encouraging you to communicate with your teachers, communicate with your counselors. Keep us up to date. Let us know your progress. Let us know what you need. Let us know if you have questions. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We are here to help, and we certainly want to help you take those next steps. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you all soon, and we hope to hear from all of you frequently. Thank you.